There have been numerous times throughout my life when God has divinely appointed people who have forever changed and exemplified me. Meeting Bill and Antoinette Wise was one of those God moments for me. I met Bill and his beautiful wife Antoinette. I was a movie critic for several media outlets and an evening radio talk show in San Diego, California. One day, a mutual friend recommended that I interview a man who had come to her Bible study and told of an amazing experience God had given him in hell. At that time, I produced my own show, and since Halloween was fast approaching, I thought the subject of someone claiming he went to hell and saw demons, at the very least, would make for a great radio show. After agreeing to have Bill on without ever having met him, I naturally had some concerns about his story and wasn't sure how he would come across to my listening audience. But after calling him and listening to a brief description of what he went through, I knew within minutes that he was telling the truth. His humble manner and godly character were immediately transparent, and his soothing voice was calm, relaxing, and a harrowing experience. When I hung up, I knew that instead of simply doing a great radio show, Bill's message would end up having so much more. God, a powerful plan, and an unseen purpose for not only an hour, but so for his friendship that lay ahead. I opened my show with a sombering reminder that my guest and his subjects were not a joke or a hoax. I mentioned how our cultures had trivialized the subject of hell to such an extreme that we in fact celebrated with the devil, costumes, demonic masks, and candy on Halloween, the second most commercialized holiday in America. I added that Bill's experience was different, a different side of hell they had never heard before. One that is terrifying, really, and permanent. I told him that Bill's testimony would be more like a change and change their lives forever. That's how we began the show. For an entire hour, Bill told about his journey to hell. I was enthralled and mesmerized with the detailed account. I took no phone calls. At the end of the show, we simply gave out his pager number because he didn't have a ministry, website, book, or phone number for people to call. But by the time I closed my show, Bill's pager was buzzing nonstop. Journey to Hell was one of the most popular shows. I received numerous requests for tapes and a burner phone and an email. He asked me to reply to Bill's story. In the week and months that followed, Bill received testimony after testimony of how his message had changed people's lives. Some of those features in this book. As the three of us sat in my studio that night, we knew something wonderful had just happened. Each of us felt the presence of God hovering over us. And we knew that God was working to change our hearts, minds, and our lives of those who had turned in for an evening. A few brief moments, we realized that God had divinely brought us together for a greater purpose than simply an appearance on a radio show. That night, I pledged my willingness to do everything in my power to help Bill get his story told. I've been a film critic since the late 1980s, so I have reviewed thousands of movies. I can assure you that just as there are countless people of faith asking God to help them write or create a spiritual message in a film, screenwriting and special effect articles may help people influenced by the demonic realms, poetry, demons, and the hellish underworld. Our culture has become desensitized and conditioned to accepting various forms of demonic creatures. So we glimpse the glimpses of hell as a simple entertainment, reminding us that the world view of hell was considered a curse on the world. My younger sister repeated that she learned from the neighborhood boys that she had gotten her tongue swabbed with a bar of soap just for saying hell. How times have changed. These days, the words have permeated our culture.